It is my pleasure to introduce Becky Frankiewicz, President and Chief Strategy Officer of ManpowerGroup. Becky joined ManpowerGroup in 2017 as the President of ManpowerGroup North America. She brings high energy and passion coupled with strong P&L experience from a large and complex global business. Her prior experience includes Quaker Foods North America, Deloitte, Anderson Consulting, and P&G. She earned her bachelor's and MBA from the University of Texas and completed executive training at Harvard Business School and IMD Business School in Switzerland. Becky is dedicated to her family, her health, and helping others succeed. She is an avid marathon runner, having finished all seven major marathons: Boston, New York, Chicago, Sydney, Berlin, London, and Tokyo. Becky is most proud of raising her 3 strong daughters, Parker, Peyton, and Piper. Catch the P's? Please join me in welcoming Becky Frankiewicz.
We are 35-ish minutes in, and I've already taken down 5 key takeaways that I'm going to share with you today. So first, Nina, I didn't know you were introducing me, so thank you. It makes me sound much more accomplished than I am. My biggest accomplishment is raising these 3 crazy daughters that I have. Don't worry, they'll come up again. Did you notice their names are in alphabetical order? Because I'm a little neurotic like that. Parker, Peyton, and Piper. And this morning, I had to silence my phone because I already told the guests at my table, my kids call all the time. And so one may call. I apologize in advance. And one's on breakthrough because, Lord, if she needs to get me, she'll have a panic attack. So it's okay. So my takeaway so far, Nina, as ladies, we do what we do. As ladies, we do what we do. And that's exactly what I'm doing because this wasn't planned. Powerhouse of strong women. I loved that. That's who's convened in this room. I'm going to come back to that. Alyssa, smart, intelligent, and ambitious women. I love that you added ambitious. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. We need ambition in our communities. We need ambition in our families. We need ambition in our businesses. And so thank you for adding that word. Deanne, find your mirror and someone who will shine back your worth. Man, that is my hope for all of us today. We find someone who will shine back our worth. And if you haven't seen Deanne's shoes, I didn't know who she was, but she has on spicy shoes today. Lifeline luminaries from Gretchen. I'd not heard those words put together, but I know she's using it in terms of the work that Versity does. I think for all of us, how do we become luminaries, shining the light for those around us? And then I wasn't prepared for Deb, but listen to this rookie mistake. I'm new to the state, so I've lived here less than a year. I'm sitting next to Deb. I know she's the woman of the year, but I didn't really know what she did. I said, so is Jefferson County a nice place to live? That was an interesting conversation. But I love a lady that leads with emotion because I think there's strength in emotion, and so good for you. I love that you didn't apologize. I was waiting for it, and you didn't do it. So, and who's your family over here? Who's her family? Where's the family? Are you her daughter? Lucky you. Lucky you being raised by a strong, confident, emotional mom. I did take more away from that. She said, the more I grow, the more I can give back. And so I think that's a true statement for all of us. And then finally, here's another rookie mistake. I didn't know that Dan and Katie were married, so here I am. I definitely didn't know that Meredith was their daughter, but Meredith, your dad was taking your picture when you were speaking. It was so sweet. So thank you all for being conveners of amazing, remarkable powerhouse of women. I'm grateful being new to the state of Wisconsin. I'm a native Texan, if you can't hear it in my voice, and in the fact that I went to UT Austin, so hook 'em horns. I moved here with a stop in Chicago. I've learned that Wisconsiners don't love people from Illinois, but that's why I lead with I'm a Texan, and so, you know, you can, my license plate are Texas to Wisconsin, so I've forgotten the Chicago stop. But being new to the state, I'm so grateful that there's conveners for women leaders in our state, because what we're about to go through in the age of AI is going to require leadership at a different level. It's already requiring leadership at a different level. And it's not in the thought of Becky Frankiewicz. Psychologists will say that what's the soft skills that are needed to lead in this time are emotional intelligence, empathy. Guess what? Those are things that we as women disproportionately have. There is nothing wrong with seeing your work as your family. There's nothing wrong with that. It makes us stronger, you can make better decisions, and you can have hard conversations. And we lead that way, we collaborate, we convene. And so the absolute natural tendencies, because not all of us have them, it's not a generalization, the natural tendencies that we have as women are going to be disproportionately needed as we go into AI. So they asked me to talk about AI reshaping the future of work, but I thought I would take a step back and say, artificial intelligence is our technology transformation of our lifetime. It is not the first one that has happened. There is history of these kinds of transformations. The Industrial Revolution was probably the first one we would have remembered. It was panic and mayhem. It changes the whole way work was done. If you haven't been a student of that, it's good to look back at. The age of the internet. I was in college when the internet, that's aging myself, when the internet became a thing. Many of you young ladies are like, what? Yeah, I was in college. You had to sign up for a supercomputer. That's a whole other conversation. Personal computing. The fact that we all carry around a computer in the palm of our hands. Those are all significant transformations that have happened before AI. Now, is AI going to be different? Yes. Is it going to be more disruptive? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. But the fact is, we have a pattern of what happens when these transformations happen. And leaders who get out in front of this are those who shape it. And so I came across this, I was making sure this works. I came across this quote last night and I put it in. So back to Nina, we women do what we do. I changed my whole presentation last night. That was fun for Katie, by the way. Because I was like, I don't want to say any of that. I want to say this other stuff. But the best leaders in AI won't just adapt to it, they'll shape it. You are all going to shape AI in your companies, in your life, in your family. You're going to be the shapers of it. And those that are born into this, so the Gen Alpha, so that's the people who are 11 years and younger today, the next generation. Alpha also for the AI generation, they're going to be born into it. But they're going to be born into what you all shape, because you're leading businesses and leading organizations. And so we have to be shapers. To be shapers, we have to understand what is happening in this world of work. And you see me do quotes, because when I used to say workforce, I meant people. People make up work. Like, that's how we get work done. Increasingly, there are alternatives in how work gets done. And that's why it's important to understand the context of what's happening around us. Big, super, uber universal truth. So for the marketers in the world, it's called a universal truth. A universal truth. Talent scarcity is here to stay. So even before we talk about AI, what's happening in the workforce? We don't have, first, the number of human beings that we need around the world to power work. The US just a few months ago went into what they call negative growth from a population perspective. We're not having enough children to backfill the existing population. So the US population is shrinking and will continue to shrink. There are only 2 countries in the world where population is growing, Africa and India. Everywhere else, population is shrinking. So we don't have enough humans to power GDP, or gross domestic product, growth. We don't have enough humans. First fact. Second fact, skills are moving and changing at the pace of technology. As skills are changing at the pace of technology, which is accelerating, it's creating talent scarcity. 70% of companies will say they can't find the talent that they need. That's not just human beings, that's actually talent to work in this world. The pace of technology is changing so quickly. Our job as learners, I loved the comment about curiosity. Our job as learners is to learn, unlearn, and relearn on repeat. The days of I'm going to go to college and get a degree, and I'm going to practice in my degree, those days are over. If no one has told you, they're gone. 67% of the jobs that my girls will face when they graduate college don't exist today. 67% of the jobs don't exist today. So why I'm paying for these university educations is a different conversation I need to have with myself. But it is a fact. I do think university brings a lot of other things. If there are any educators in the room, don't be offended. But the fact is, we are going to have to be individual learners. And so when you think about AI, I am not an AI expert. I am an AI student. I'm dangerous, actually. You can ask me things and I'll actually know the difference in generative AI, automation, agentic AI. I know that, not because I went to a course and someone taught me, because I chose to be curious and seek to understand and stay current as I can. So that's the learning ability that we will all have to become self-learners in this time when talent is scarce. But talent scarcity causes uncertainty in the labor market. At ManpowerGroup, we put millions of people to work around the world. In fact, I think the number is about 7 million people to work around the world. We operate in 72 countries. I had the privilege and honor of running our US business until June of this year when I took on a new role inside the company. But in this environment, we see a lot about what's changing in jobs. You want to know specifically what job is growing in Jefferson County? I know that. You want to know the supply of talent in Jefferson County, the skills available? I know that. So we have that kind of data. So we are students of what's happening in the underlying workforce. So we know that almost 40% of core skills will be disrupted by AI. I say core skills because AI truly isn't going to take whole jobs, except in a couple of unique instances, whole jobs. AI will be a capability that underpins businesses and can do things like reporting. AI can go out and do reporting. Before this speech, by the way, how many people use ChatGPT? Raise your little hands. Look at all you. Y'all are defying my data you're going to see in a few minutes. Well, it's actually up here that half of people are using AI. But I used ChatGPT and I said, what do you say to a group of female leaders around leading in the age of AI? So we're going to get to that in just a little bit. But there's nothing wrong with thinking intelligently, working intelligently. It's not about working harder. AI lets you work more intelligently. Lets you work, I like to think of it as like a little personal assistant on the side that says, give me a first draft of what I need to talk about, or give me an opener for this kind of speech. So think of AI as a partner and a friend. But we do know that jobs will be changed. The defining example that all of you get to set for the world is, what are we going to do with the other 60 or 70% of people's jobs? Where do we want human capability to be additive? How are we going to add value? Because all of you are doing a job that will have some kind of disruption. I'm doing a job that will have some kind of disruption. You're leading businesses that will likely have some kind of disruption. Embrace that. And then say, then therefore, what do I want the uniqueness of the human to bring to my business? Those who shape that early will be winners. But there is no doubt that it is going to have change. The question is how you embrace the change. People are uncertain. We are humans. We have uncertainty. We have insecurity. We know at ManpowerGroup from research that we've done that 50% of people aren't sure that technology is going to help their job. They're not sure. In fact, 1 in 10 people think it's going to take their whole job. Again, in very rare cases, that's going to happen. Most of the time, it's going to take portions of our jobs that are repetitive and can be learned and automated, freeing us up to do more human tasks. But we need to know as leaders of people that people are concerned. They're afraid. And so what does that mean for us as leaders? We have to come in and bridge the gap and show people a way forward. Take the stance of, yes, the things that are repetitive, those are going to go to the wayside. We're going to automate those in some cases. But the things that are uniquely human, that make us human beings, we want to do more and more of that. You may or may not know this. When I first heard AI, actually AI was first, the word artificial intelligence was first spoken in 1956 at Dartmouth College. I didn't know that. ChatGPT taught me that for y'all. So I learned that last night. So I was like, this is like a new term. It is not a new term. It's back in the 50s. I honestly, if I'm transparent with this group, I probably didn't immerse myself in it until 2 years ago. I'm at the World Economic Forum in Davos. You know, it's this convention of world leaders and business leaders talking about what's next in business. It's fancy. I got to check in behind Bill Gates, who left his laptop in his bag when he went to the scanner. That was a no-no. That was awkward. I was like, Bill Gates of all people, take your laptop out of your bag, but whatever. Of course, I was a role model. I took my little laptop out and smiled at him. I was too embarrassed to talk to him, but he's quite thin, by the way, different side. That's a whole side story I didn't think I'd go into. But I heard AI for the first time. It was a hot topic at the World Economic Forum. In fact, if I'm honest, I was a little scared. I heard Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft, I got to hear him in a small group, and he said, this was crazy talk, he said software developers will be paid about the same, which is a problem, by the way, what I'm about to say, as CNAs in the future. Nurses assistants that work in hospitals and nursing homes, they bring the juice and take care of the patients. A critical role, but not that well paid. I was like, that man has lost his total mind. He runs a software company. There's no way that's true. Guess what? In February of this year, we saw the demand for software developers go down 20%. There's still a lot of software developers, don't get it twisted, but they're not the same in demand. Why? Because AI is taking some of that work, and so it's making people uncomfortable and making people scared, and so we have to come in and bridge the gap. The other thing that I think is interesting about AI is it's a lot of hype. There's a lot of talk about it. It's going to transform businesses. It's not going to be overnight. This isn't an overnight change. We will see small things shift for AI, just like we saw on our phone. No one taught you how to use the latest upgrade on your iPhone. I was FaceTiming with one of my girls the other day, and I did this. If you haven't done it, do it. Big thumbs come up all over the screen. But no one, and if you do a heart, you do your little hearts pop up. It's so cool. But no one taught me that, and that's how AI is going to be. We're going to start leveraging capabilities of AI, not because we need to go to a master class on AI. It's going to be embedded in our routines. And so I share this just to say, so you're informed and you can educate your teams, there will be change. There's always going to be change. The idea of learning, unlearning, and relearning is going to be how we grow and repeat, but this is not an overnight change. This is likely going to be something that has a runway of 50 to 75 years, much like the Industrial Revolution. The other thing that's on the minds of workers in the workforce, because that's my specialty, is there's a lot going on in the world. I heard a term called permacrisis. I'd never heard that before, permacrisis. And what it means is we are facing crisis after crisis after crisis. It was COVID, then it was financial crisis, then we have geopolitical uncertainty in the Ukraine and Israel, and we have tariffs, and we have all these things happening. It is a tough time to run businesses, ladies. It's a tough time. But guess what? This is the time. This is the time. It's not going to be different. There's not a new market coming that I can see. We are going to have to be leaders in times of uncertainty that now are going to be the certainty of change. There is not wait till things settle down. We are in the age of permacrisis, crisis after crisis after crisis. I go back to my opening. It's why it's so critical that we as female leaders lean into our emotional intelligence, lean into our ability to drive collaboration and decision making, lean into our empathy. The workforce needs us. The workforce needs us. So with that, there's some practical things that we can do to help people learn and get more exposure to tech skills. I love this because the other thing that's happening with technology, I think it's 20% of women in the US hold computer science degrees. Only 20%. It means 80% of us not so interested in that. I am in the 80%. Not so interesting. However, what's happening now is used to you had to have a computer science degree. Now, technology and AI is democratizing access to technology. So you don't need to have a computer science degree to be a prompt engineer. Guess what? I'd never heard the word prompt engineer until 2 years ago. That wasn't a job. Back to technological transformations create new jobs. They do. Now the question is it net new? Is it more jobs than it displaces? To be determined. The research would say yes. I will say to be determined. But what I know is new jobs are being created that we can access, and you don't have to have a master's in computer science to go learn those things. So for we as women, you have an opportunity for an on-road into technology in a way that we've never had before. But there's some practical things that we're seeing in terms of how you gain access to tech. The shocking thing here is look at what's second to last, just right above your hobbies, is a university degree. You do not need a university degree. You don't need to go back to school in this example to learn deep tech. There are multiple ways to do that. There's a lot of as I told you, I'm a student, so I would fall into the self-learning experimentation category. I want to write a website. That's my next, I don't know what's going to be on it, but that's my next thing. Raising 20-something women, maybe that's what I'll put on there, but I have a lot of take on that, by the way. If any of you have 20-somethings, we can talk. But I fall into the self-learning experimentation. But there's also even IT companies, CIOs will say certifications, very valuable, online training camps, very valuable in terms of learning tech skills. These are practical ways that companies will respect that you're exposing yourself to technology. And so practical things that we can do. And then when it comes to leading, we did some research on digital leadership. Because in this age of digital, surely the qualities of leadership are going to dramatically change. Surely they're going to change. Well, guess what? 80% of the qualities of great leadership remain. Things like endurance, brightness, your drive, those have been qualities of leaders, and they're continuing to be qualities of leaders in this digital age. The new things are my favorite. Gentlemen, by the way, I'm glad for all the men in the room. Thank you for coming and supporting women and female development. I'm very grateful for that. But yes, let's hear it. Let's hear it for that. Now you know what we feel like in every room we walk into, so I appreciate the curiosity to experience that. And the line of the ladies' room is going to be long, so there we go. But on the 20% side, what is new? The ability to unleash talent, to nurture, I like that word, nurture learnability, to take informed risk-taking, that's what I call dare to lead. Things that we are great at are the new 20% of what makes an effective leader. And so as you lead your teams, as you develop yourselves, yes, focus on the traditional. 80% is still the traditional view of leadership, but the differentiator will be the 20% that comes in digital leadership. And all of us, I believe, can nurture our learnability, can unleash capabilities in others and in ourselves. And so I leave you with one thought when it comes to AI. We've talked about the fact that we have a talent shortage. We've talked about the fact that people are uncertain when it comes to what's happening in the technology world. We as leaders need to come in, help them find access to tech, expose ourselves in very approachable ways. No need to go get a university degree, in approachable ways. But I leave you with this thought, because AI is a lot. It's in the headlines. It's a lot of what's being talked about. And as I left the World Economic Forum that I mentioned, I had an epiphany. I said, AI is the cape, but humans are still the heroes. So I leave you with that, and happy to take any questions after we finish and go into the break. Thank you.